Well, oh well. Today, we are back in Jasper National Park, showing you guys all the campgrounds that you may or may not want to use while you're visiting the park, because Jasper National Park is quite large. And if you're going to stay in the town of Jasper, you're going to find it pretty limiting and restricting to be driving 50, 100 kilometers, sometimes 200 kilometers a day just to visit these spots. Hence why you camp instead. The Icefields Campground is split up into 2 separate campgrounds, and I'm at the first one now, which is the tent side. There's around 31 sites, 25 of them that go around this big loop here, and there's some cooking shelters in the middle. On the north side and on the west side, there's actually some walk-in campsites as well. At the very northern part of the loop, there's actually a water tank, so that if you don't have a water filtration system, then you can just use the water that's inside of there instead. There was a nice little creek that goes right through the campground, and if you stay on the walk-in sites, you'll be able to stay close to the creek. So if you have a water filtration system, you could just use your water from there. And I discovered a nice little cascade at the far back that this creek trickles right through. It's super pretty. So I'm gonna show you guys all of the stuff that you guys wanna see here about the tent side. And then we're gonna go on the other side of the Columbia Icefields. There's actually a big building there. And if you come here during the summer when it's open, there's a restaurant in there. You can go visit the Icefields and pay to do the skywalk. And then there's also another one where you can get into like these big vehicles that actually bring you on top of the glacier. There's a bunch of different hikes you can do around here without even having to pay for any of these services. I see a couple of disclaimers and things in here. First of all is that the water tank sometimes freezes, which is not surprising because we're actually beside a city-sized area covered in ice, so it gets cold at night. They warn you here about cell service. There is no cell service at all along the Icefields Parkway, except right here. Because of that Columbia Icefields Lodge, in this little area here, you'll have internet on your phone and cell coverage. It's not the best, but it's fully functional if you wanted to send a text message, that kind of stuff. So it's quite nice to have. You're completely out of the loop here for 100 kilometers north and 100 kilometers south. There's nothing, so always be self-reliant. Without wasting any time, let's go check out the rest of the campground and show you guys what there is to see here at the Icefield Campground here in Jasper. And these are really quite quaint. Sites 13 through 17, further back, they're considered walk-in site, but you're relatively close to your vehicle. But sites 1 through 5 here, people might forget those. If you come, make sure you come check these out. And since these are kind of hidden more on the backside, it might not actually be as popular because not everybody is going to get out of their vehicles and come check in here. Now that you guys seen the video, you guys know what to look for. They're kind of close together. There's 5. I think I like number 5 the most. You come into your site, there's the picnic table and your fire pit, and then it comes down to a nice level pad, and you get a little creek there. So if you don't want to go all the way to where the water tank is, you could just have a filtration system and just walk down to the creek right here. So let's go check out all the other ones back in the actual main loop, and then we'll check out the actual cooking shelters. Well, oh, well, oh, well. I think I'm falling in love with this little campground here. There's a nice little cascade of boulders and the creek trickles all along there. It flows right past campground number 12. It's a great little spot to camp for sure if you're gonna come and explore the ice fields using a tent. These have nice tent pads. They're all kind of raised, relatively flat, so there's not gonna be water pooling in there. And if I stand up from here, the water bin is right over there. The water is all trucked into this container, and you can go and fill whatever containers you need. All of the campsites seem to have their own fire pit with these concrete picnic tables that you can't really move around. Yeah, very, very nifty spot to be camping for sure. So all we got left to do is go show you a few more campsites around from the loop and show you what the cooking shelters look like. It's quite neat that there's two of these little shelters here and they're in the middle. Nobody has to go really far to use one, and there's one kind of more on the east side and one more on the west side. What I noticed here too is quite nice. Somebody left a rope here, and that's a common thing that they'll have, especially when it's raining. You can start a fire and lay up stuff to dry. Super handy. And these stoves here, they're not too bad. Well, these ones are actually quite large and a little bit easier to get some wood in here because there's big panel doors. I was just at Lake O'Hara a few weeks ago and they had smaller stoves and it was a bit harder to get wood in there because the pieces of wood that they gave you were actually too big to actually fit in the stove, which is quite funny. All right, so now let's head on out of here and head back on the road, and we're gonna go check out the actual RV side of the Icefields, because this is just for tents. But if you have an RV or a motorhome and you want to camp here, there's another spot on the other side of the Icefields where you can actually go camp there instead. Well, this is the Icefields Campground RV section. As far as campgrounds go in Jasper National Park, this is definitely the least accommodating. They have a concrete pad here with 3-4 picnic tables. This might be actually more used for a day area. 2 outhouses right there, and they have a self-registration board at the far back with the garbage beside it. 100 little lots, just like you would find at any normal parking lot, and that's pretty much it. So as far as infrastructure, it's the worst in Jasper National Park. But as far as views go, Can't really get any better than this. So really this campground is only for people that have trailers and RVs. If you have like a small van or a tent, you don't want to be camping here anyways. You want to go to the other one that we mentioned at the beginning of the video. But if you're just cycling through, this is kind of perfect for, oh, I'm in my RV and I really don't need anything. I don't need a picnic table. I just want a place to legally sleep. And it's not even that expensive. I looked at the board down there and it said it was like $16 per night. You're paying for the permit just to have the right to actually camp here. All of these other places that are lookouts and places where you can park on the side of the road, you're not allowed to camp in those in any of the national parks. When I got here this morning, there was actually 3 or 4 people here. So I think there's a little bit of a grace period in between snow landing and still some tourists coming by. I think it's just kind of used as a winter parking lot. This also gives you an amazing spot to enjoy the sunrise that usually comes up at the far back there, and you get these cool orange tips, a little bit like you get at Moraine Lake. You get them at the very top here of these mountains as the sun peers up, depending on the time of year. It's kind of a cool place to just camp if you're a photographer. You'll only have to walk a few hundred meters to get out of the cars and get a cool view of these wonderful glaciers. So this is the Icefields Campground here in the middle of the Columbia Icefields in Jasper National Park. And I'm Eric Tremblay, and these are my adventures. Peace out, everyone.